Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation of the price bar that tells you everything you need to know. Now, roughly about 40 years ago when I first started trading, I had a very difficult time. I make no secret about it. I usually tell everyone in my presentations that I was right there with you. I know exactly what you may be going through, or have currently gone through, or went through in the past. And I know how difficult and how frustrating it can be to try and get on path with your trading on the right path. I was lucky enough to have a few mentors who taught me some great secrets and things that were able to turn me in the right direction. And I think these things have been able to sustain me for the last 40 years. And one of the main things they share with me is that really what is at fault with most traders is that we get in our own way. We overcomplicate things. I mean, think of it. Look at your own trading right now. Look at your own trading plan. How many indicators or how many rules and requirements do you have in order to buy or sell? Everything must fall just in place. And once again, I'm saying this from firsthand experience because if you would have looked at my trading methods 4 decades ago, they were so complicated, so convoluted. There were so many requirements that needed to be met. It was a wonder that I ever got any trading done at all. I was looking at fundamental news. I was looking at support and resistance. I was looking at volume. I was following all the institutions and what all my stocks earnings reports were going to be and the estimations. There was so much information. It was information overload. And what my mentors taught me is they said, Steve, that's not what helps you to be successful, because if it really did, well, then ask yourself, how well are you doing with it? And I was doing poorly. And most of the people that I knew that applied these things were doing tremendously poorly. And then they said, ask yourself, if they're working so great for you, look at your results. They said, what really is the truth about trading is that these things are getting in the way of your success, in the way of your consistency. And the way to be consistent is to really strip them away and to simplify your trading. And they said one of the most important things to me that I always remember, they said, Steve, it's the easiest thing in the world to overcomplicate your trading. Anyone can do that. It doesn't take a lot of character, a lot of know-how to keep piling on more and more rules, more and more indicators, more and more fundamental laws you have to follow. But it takes a lot of courage and a lot of character to simplify, to only rely on the simplest of things, because those are the things that actually work over time. Now, you're going to see today just how simple it is. I mean, you're going to be able to do this and do the research over the weekend, and you'll be able to apply this technique as early as you'd like, as early as Monday if you want. But there really is a price bar that tells you everything you need to know. Now, coupled with just a few more things that you can start doing on your own, you'll be able to get on that road to consistency. And I'm going to show you how simple it is, because we've put it together all for you in this presentation, and we're going to show you just how simple it is to apply with the PTS Primo charting platform. This is the new platform I've developed with Pro Trader Strategies. And it has all of my methods, all of my techniques, things I've accumulated in 4 decades right there, one click away. So there's no work you have to do. There's no 40 years of research and development. It's all right here for you. You can be up and running, and we'll show you exactly how simple it is on today's presentation. All of the charts will be generated by using the new PTS Primo charting platform. Okay, so this promises to be a great presentation. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your Saturday morning here. I know we have a lot of people today, people from all around the world and the globe, and I thank you for joining us. But before we begin, as always, we are required to show you this. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of results today, a lot of charts, a lot of ways in which to apply these techniques, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated. Remember, we're required by law to show you this. So as you are taking a brief moment to view the disclaimer, I would also like to take this time to invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter. You can copy down our handle right there, abbreviation for Specialist Trading. I post different things on a daily basis, sometimes more than less. It all depends on what's going on in the markets. But we post anywhere from a daily financial wisdom to actual signals that our strategies have generated. In fact, in the Forex lately, we've posted some fantastic signals that our strategies that are following the same principles I'm going to be teaching you today generated in a couple of currency pairs, most specifically the British pound. A couple of days ago, we gave a buy signal, and if you're a currency pair trader, you see that that took off. We also generate signals in stocks. We also generate signals in futures, Forex. So all of our methods work in any market and any time frame. So feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's a lot of great free information on a daily basis. Now, as I stated in the beginning of this, we are an educational company. So my goal is to educate you the same way that my mentors educated me. Remember, I struggled like crazy, just like someone who had been trading for 2 days. But I was on the floor of the exchange. I had access to all this information. I saw what the orders were in my book. I had high-speed computers that no one else had. I was talking to the institutions personally to see what they were doing, whether they were buyers or sellers. I knew where all the support and resistance was. And guess what? I couldn't make a dime. Nothing worked over time. Sure, I would have a couple of good trades here and there, but then eventually I'd have that one trade where I give everything back. Okay? So what we're looking for is consistency, because consistency will sustain you. You see, it doesn't matter if someone teaches you, if you buy this, $10,000 system that promises the world and has back-tested research going back 10 years that it produces 1,000% a year. That's all fine, but trust me, I have traded and I even taught systems to people, and not one of them has stood up to the test of time. Most of them, they just basically blow up. And I knew tons of traders on the floor who made a lot of money in a relatively short time, anywhere from hundreds of thousands to close to millions of dollars in a matter of days or weeks. And not one of those traders is still trading today. They've all given it back. So what is the point if you have some method that makes tons of money one day and then gives it all back the next? That's not a sound financial trading plan. What you want is a method, something that has consistency. And by consistency, we simply mean 2 steps forward, 1 step back. What is the 1 step back? Well, it means that we will have small losses from time to time. I don't know why people don't accept that. It is perfectly normal to have a small loss. Okay? It's perfectly normal for an athlete to miss a shot every once in a while, or to not hit a home run or to strike out. It's perfectly normal for an entertainer to have a flop movie or a flop album. But that's okay. What matters is that you come back and you're back on top in a relatively short amount of time. You get back on your horse. That's what a consistent approach brings you. And that's the only thing we teach, and the only thing we mentor at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies are consistent methods, consistent strategies. Today I'm going to show you something. You'll see how consistent it is in just a few moments and how simple it is. Remember, it is the simplest things that get you on that road to consistency, not the complicated things. So as you can see here, my goal is not to force feed you signals. Even though we have signals for our members and our students, we're not providing them there for you to take on a nightly basis and just to trade blindly. We're giving them there as an educational purposes so that you know what to look for. So we're giving you the answers to the homework, in other words. Ultimately, we want you to look and find them on your own, ultimately, by yourself. So my goal is to teach you how to trade, not to force feed you signals, not to force feed you the right time frame or the right market the way so many other webinars do. We're here just to give you all the things that have stood the test of time, and then work and mentor with you so that you'll have the same edge that was able to turn my trading around. Hopefully it will be able to turn your trading around as well. Okay, so since this is an educational presentation, I want to take each and every one of your questions, but please remember that in order to do that, we have to wait till the very end, because if we stop like some other presentations for every slide and ask a question, we may be here till this evening with questions, okay? So please wait till the very end, because oftentimes if you wait for the next slide, your question will be answered. Now, if you're having technical difficulties, some people can't hear or the screen is fading in and out, it's most likely your internet connection. So the best thing to do many times is to log off and log on. Now, if you have to leave early or if you can't resolve the technical issues, we are recording this, so you can request a link to this recording from Pro Trader Strategies, okay? So we have a good crowd here. We want to share with you all this information so that you can start using it as early as Monday if you'd like. But remember, keep the questions till the end if you just happen to join us, okay? All right, so let's start. Remember, we're going to be all about simplicity today. So what are we talking about? Well, here's what my mentors taught me once again. They said, Steve, throw away all that support and resistance, all that volume analysis, all those fundamental economic tools. They don't have any consistency. They're too subjective. There's only one thing you should be listening to, not some trading guru on TV or not some guy in the chat room, but the market. And why? I said, why? Well, I don't understand. Why should I be listening to the market? And they said, because the market is always telling you what it wants to do. I mean, what a greater edge to have than coming from the source that you're trading. It's telling you most likely what it wants to do. So why would you listen to anything else other than the thing you're actually trading? And our job as a trader is to just listen to the market and then jump on board. You see, we're not trying to pick tops. We're not trying to pick bottoms. We're not trying to say how high the market's going to go. We're not trying to say how low it's going to go. If you've ever tried trading like that, ask yourself, how's it working for you? Is it consistent? Are you always picking the bottom? Are you always picking the top? Now, I know some traders who are able to do that, and they make a very fine living doing that. But guess what? They're about maybe 2 to 5% of all the traders in the world. The rest of us, the 95 percentile, myself included, have a very difficult time picking tops and bottoms. It's much easier for the masses just to listen to the market, find out which direction it wants to go, and jump on board. That's it. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't try to figure out, well, what do the earnings mean? Oh, what is this, what's happening over here? What does this mean for this stock? What is this? The stock tells you what it wants to do. There's no reason to overcomplicate your trading. Now, the only problem is that we've never been taught how to listen to the market. We've always been taught to pay thousands of dollars for some program or to go to some chat room, or we've always been taught to listen to the guys on TV, but we've never been taught to listen to the actual thing we're trading, okay? So here's what I'm going to share with you. Probably the best tool for finding out the short term, the edge that is telling you at the moment what the market wants to do, and that's our top bottom 25% bar, okay? So what exactly is this? Well, these are bars that close either in the top or bottom quarter of their range, okay? And it doesn't matter what bar. I mean, I know you're probably saying, well, Steve, I trade weekly bars. So are you talking about weekly, or are you talking about a higher time frame? It doesn't matter. If you trade tick charts, that's the only bar you're looking for, a bar that closes in the top or bottom of its range on a tick time frame. If you trade monthly bars, then that's all you're concerned about. Remember, once again, you're going to hear me say this over and over. Don't overcomplicate it. If that's the time frame that your strategy generated a signal on, then that's the only thing you should be concerned with. Don't concern yourself with another time frame. I know that's a very standard way of looking at things. We were all taught that 2 time frames, the higher and the lower trend, have to be in sync. I was taught that 4 decades ago, so trust me, I know all about it. And guess what? I have found no consistency in that either. So, we're not going to tell you not to use it, but there's no requirement that says that works, okay? Once again, there are so many things in trading that are not, meaning that, we just say that conventional wisdom says they're supposed to work, but they don't really show any consistency. So what we want to find are bars that close either in the top or bottom quarter of their range. So in other words, if you're looking at this bar right here, remember, I don't care if this is a minute bar or a monthly bar. What you want to do is divide it by 4 separate but equal parts. And if you close in that top quarter, well, what is the market telling us? Because remember, we're listening to the market. That's the only thing we listen to. The market is telling us that it wants to go higher. What a great edge to have from what we're, trading. We don't have to rely on some guy on TV or in a chat room or, what the earnings reports are going to be or what the institutions are doing. What's the market telling us? The market's saying it wants to go higher. Now, conversely, if we see a bar like this, well, we divide it by 4 separate but equal parts. And if you close in that bottom quarter, the market is saying it wants to go lower, okay? That's all you need to know at this point. That's it, okay? Remember, our job as a trader is simple. It's twofold. Listen to what the market wants to do. In this case, it's saying it wants to go lower. And then we have the choice to either jump on board or we'll sit and wait for it to go up. We don't like to short. That's it. We're not trying to pick tops. We're not trying to pick bottoms. We're not trying to figure out what the earnings reports are. We're not trying to understand what the economic news means. We don't care about that stuff. Why overcomplicate your trading? I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, that doesn't make sense. I mean, there's no way I'm going to be able to trade that way. I know. I said the exact same thing 4 decades ago. When my mentors taught me this, I said, you must be joking. You must be out of your mind. How am I going to trade just looking at little things like this? But guess what? Once I finally really adjusted and once I accepted these simple concepts, that's when my trading started to become consistent. And I still use these on a daily basis in my own personal trading. I'm still here 40 years later, so there must be some truth to what I'm saying and to what my mentors taught me. All right, so let's look at the top and bottom 25%. We've taught you what that is, but we need to give it a filter. We need to give it a little bit more oomph, something that is going to be the wind at its in the sail. So if the top bottom 25% is our boat. We need some wind. We need some, some activity, and that is the buy sell line. The buy sell line is the motor. That's what's telling us the direction that is the overall trend. Let me show you what I mean here. Let's look at this chart in Netflix. This is an older chart. Remember, these are for educational purposes, so they don't have to be something that happened yesterday. You're going to see this all over. As soon as the presentation concludes, you'll be able to find it wherever you want. But as we see this older chart in Netflix, we see here that, well, okay, it's in an overall uptrend, but how could we have known in advance? Well, with our new PTS Primo charts here, all you have to do is click on our buy-sell line. That's our proprietary tool that tells us whether we should be buying or selling. And automatically, once you do that, a drop-down menu will appear. And let's just pick, out of the 4 features we have, let's pick the background feature, okay? Now, the background feature will color the background, either blue or red. And people will say, well, what exactly does that mean? If it's blue, like as it is right here, what does that mean? Well, we like to take the old sailor's adage where we say, blue sky at night, trader's delight. Because that means you should only be buying. It's a trader's delight. If you have a blue background, you should only be looking for buy setups, okay? But right now, we're looking back and we see, wow, so this was saying way back here when we were below the hundreds, when we were in 95, 97, it was already giving us a blue background. So we already knew that we should be buyers. But remember, the buy-sell line is not a strategy. It's not a system. It's just telling you whether you should be buying or selling. It's not telling you where. It's not giving you a high probability entry point. So at this time, we know we're going to be a buyer. Now, we've made it even simpler. Let's click on top bottom 25% in our green strategy tab. You see how simple we've made this? There's nothing you have to calculate. You don't have to divide the bars by 4. And you click that on and you'll click on signal arrows, okay? And look at all of the bars that close in the top 25%. Do you think the market was trying to tell you something? Well, in advance, way back here, that it's going higher. All right, so let's look at some more examples of this. Here's a weekly chart of Netflix, okay? Same stock, but we're looking at a different time frame, okay? We apply the buy-sell line, and as we see, the very first portion of this weekly chart with the background was red. And now we say red sky at morning, traders take warning. So you have the option either to stay out completely when the background is red or to be more aggressive and to look for short setups. All right, so once we got into October of last year on a weekly time frame, the background turned blue. So that was telling us it was okay to now look for long setups. We're no longer a seller. We're looking for buying opportunities. But we don't know where those opportunities are yet. So we click on the top bottom 25%, and we see here that while we had a red background, we had a number of bars that closed in the bottom 25%, but once we went over to blue, look what happened here. So we have all these nice indications coming from the market. We can look at a weekly chart of UA, Under Armour. Okay, now obviously this was doing very well, and then roughly at the beginning of 2016 on a weekly time frame, the bottom fell out. Okay, how could we have known that? Well, the buy-sell line tells you whether you should be long or short. See how simple this is? Well before this massive sell-off, regardless what, obviously there's always going to be some justification why it went down. Who cares? The market told us well in advance of this sell-off that we were going lower. You see how the market knew in advance? If we learn to listen to the market, many times we're ahead of the game. So this whole entire time, it was telling us it wants to go higher on the overall trend. And this whole time, it was telling us it wants to go lower. All right. Now, if we want to know the shorter, we click on the top bottom 25% and look at all the bars that close in the top 25%. Once we change, look at all the bars that close in the bottom 25%. So do you see this synergy for consistency when we combine the two, the buy-sell line with the top bottom 25%? Here's a daily chart coming into April, May of the spiders, the ETF or the S&P 500. Okay. Obviously, we've been in an overall uptrend, but I would have wanted to know back here we were in an uptrend, okay, overall uptrend. Well, what was the buy-sell line telling you? Well, in advance of this big rally we've been having for the last 4 or 5 months, it was telling you that, well, you should only be buying, all right? The only way you really lost money trading the spiders this last 6 months was by trying to go short. Remember, we never try to predict what the market's going to do. Whatever market, whether it's a stock, a currency pair, a futures, it makes no difference. Commodity markets, we just want to listen to the market And according to our proprietary buy-sell line, it's telling us the market wants to go higher on an overall time frame. And if we look at the short term, we click on top bottom 25%, and it was telling us the same thing. It's going to continue to go higher on the short term. Now, this is all done, once again, without the aid of fundamental news, without the aid of mass indicators. All this is the market just telling you, I'm going higher. It's the market. We're learning to listen for the first time. You're learning to listen to the market and not an outside source. Why waste your time and money on listening to those things that have no consistency? If they really work so well, why do 80% of all traders fail? And when I say fail, I don't mean, well, they go into a drawdown and then they make it back. No, I mean 80% of all new traders give everything back and then they're busted. They have nothing to trade with. They're out of the trading game. Here's a weekly chart of spiders. Let's go back to 2016. Once again, we've known all along that we should have been buying. Even when we had this kind of sideways to downward move here where people were calling for a top in the last part of October 2016, what was the market telling you? It's going higher. The background is blue. And if we apply the top bottom 25%, it was telling you it's going higher as well. Okay, so up until now, we just have learned how to listen to the market, but how do we apply trading to that? Because I haven't told you anything in terms of, well, where do we, get in, or how do we use this in a conventional manner? How can we use this to make money or to trade? Well, this is a trading technique I'm going to share with you today. And notice that I emphasize, I didn't say this is a trading strategy. This is not a trading system. It is a technique. What's the difference? Excuse me. A technique does not come with a complete set of rules. In other words, it doesn't come with a complete set of entry points. It doesn't come with a complete set of stop placement, a complete set of money management, a complete set of, a way to track the trade if it's going in your favor, exit points. There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle in order to have a competent strategy or system. A technique is just basically giving you maybe 2 of those pieces of the puzzle, maybe even 3 at the most, but no more than 2 usually. And it's basically just giving you a very high probability area to enter, either to go long or to go short. So if you're a student of the market and you like to tinker under the hood, this is a great approach to start with, using these techniques we give you. And in our courses, we go greater into detail. We give you all the stop placement. We show you where to exit. We show you that. But in our educational presentation, we just want to give you this information and let you play with it. But it is great information. You're going to see how valid it can be just by using this simple trading technique that I'm sharing with you today. All right, so let's look. Here is the buy setup for this particular technique. The background feature is blue. Now I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, I don't have that blue feature. I mean, how do I have that? The buy-sell line, to give you some more information, is the 50-period moving average. Okay, that's all it is. So if price is above the 50, the background would be blue. If price is below the 50, the background is red. That's how simple it is. Remember how my mentor said, keep your trading simple? So that's all it is. We've just made it easier for you so that you don't have to remember, or you don't have to continue to plot the 50 and clog up your screen with other indicators. All you want to do is have the background either blue or red. So let's say the background feature is blue. Okay, we're going to buy 1 tick above an arrow. And usually we like to take the first arrow we see. Okay, because that gives us more bang for our buck. If we're going to continue on the upside, we'll get the best prices at the lower level. And then we're going to place our stop below bars with up arrows. So the market's going to ultimately take us out. Okay, we're just going to keep riding that nice trend to the upside until the market goes below one of those stop areas. That's it. Okay, very simple. Now we're just going to reverse it for sells. The background feature is red. Now if you have our new trading platform, PTS Primo charting platform, well, obviously you'll have this feature. But just know that the 50-period moving average is the buy-sell line in its simplest form, and if price is below, then that would mean the background would be red. So you're going to sell 1 tick below a down arrow. Those are the bars that close in the bottom 25%. Okay, so you don't need to have a down arrow. It just makes it a lot simpler when we all do it for you automatically. Then you're going to place your stop above the bars with down arrows, or the bars that close in the bottom 25%. It's that easy. I'm sure you're saying, like, that's it, we don't have to look at the earnings, or what about the, the support and resistance, Steve? Or I always taught, you can't go in the face of news. Remember how we've all been taught those things? If they all work so well, then why do 80% of us fail in the first year, those things have no levels of consistency, okay? So look at this. You'll see how consistent this is. And once we've concluded in the next 20, 30 minutes, you can research it on your own, and I'm sure you'll be stunned by the results you get. And you say, my goodness, this is so simple. This really does work. Okay, so let's try this out with TAL, okay? Obviously, the background is blue. Isn't this amazing? The way back here when the stock was trading at 1920, the market was already telling you it wants to go higher because the background was blue. But remember, we don't have an entry point yet. We just know what direction the overall direction is. So how could we have entered somewhere down here? Well, we click on the top bottom 25%, and all of a sudden, the arrows appear, okay? So we knew as far back here when the stock was roughly trading at 20.5. Now, bear with me, I'm going to use a drawing tool here to show you exactly what I mean. This is how you would implement this. So on the very first up arrow you see, remember the up arrow just simply means that we closed in the top 25%. What you would do is by one tick, you draw a line, and once you cross that, that's where you'd enter, right there. And then you'd simply place your stop just below that. It can be, half point below, a tick below, it's up to you. And as you continue to hold on, and as you get more and more up arrows, or you continue to close in the top 25%, you would just place a stop under that. You would raise your stop and raise your stop all the way, okay? So you're letting the market keep you in the trade, and you're trying to lock in a lot of these profits. Even here, when we kind of went sideways, a lot of people say, well, Steve, gosh, I bought at 20.5. It's now up to mid-20s. Shouldn't I get out with a profit? Well, you're always free to do whatever you want. Remember, we don't tell you what to do. We give you all these different variables. But was the market telling you it was going lower? Absolutely not. We had all these up arrows, and the background was blue, so why not stay in? And it continued to go higher. You didn't get stopped out, and you continue to raise your stop just below these green arrows, okay? Now, ultimately, you did get stopped out, roughly around right here, okay? That was a really nice run. You basically bought it at 20.5. You're out at roughly 27.5, 27. That's a nice 6, 7 points for basically just following the market. That's how simple it is. Now, you would have been stopped out. If you wanted to get back in, well, guess what? Here's another bar, and you just continue to track it. So that's the process we have here. We do not have to make things difficult in order to succeed. You see how simple that was, okay? Now, that was coming into mid-August, just the last a couple of weeks ago, and that's basically all you did. You didn't have to do anything else other than look and see where these up bars were, see what the background was, and just trade accordingly. Let's look at this next setup here in BECN coming into the last week of August. Now, what is the overall trend? Well, the buy-sell line tells us it's down. Even here, when we were, excuse me, just going sideways, when we were roughly at about $48, we knew that you shouldn't be buying. I don't care what some earnings report's going to be. I don't care what some guy says in a chat room. Don't buy. Why? Because the market's telling you it's most likely going lower. So why would you trade the opposite of what the market wants to do? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the way 99.9% of all traders trade. That's the way we're taught. Okay. So now the second thing we do is we click on the top bottom 25%, and we see all of these arrows telling us that we wanted to go lower. Now, let me show you how this works again. Remember, this is not a strategy. This is not something that's guaranteed to work each and every time, but it's about consistency. Remember what I said in the beginning of the presentation. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Now, at this point, you had your first red arrow here. You would have sold roughly about this point right here, okay? And placed your stop just above, okay? Now, you still haven't entered until this bar. So you're going to use this stop up here. All right, so there's your stop. Now you're here, okay? You see that you have another arrow, so now you move your stop down to here. And guess what? You're stopped out. For a small loss, you entered here, you got stopped out here. Half point, maybe, that's nothing. So, okay, you got a small loss there. But what's the market telling you? The background is still red, and now we have another red arrow. Okay, so that was just a little whipsaw action. We get back in. Now we go short. As the market goes down, we just continue to trail with our stops down more and more. So now we've locked in a profit. We're going in our direction. We continue to hold on. And we've got a very nice profit going on here, and we continue to lower our stop all the way down. Remember, this is just a technique. This is not a system. There is no research to back it up. We don't believe in statistics because we want everyone to trade differently. But had you traded this technique, you would have captured roughly about 8 points, roughly 7 or 8 points. Once again, not over trading by looking at the news, not wasting a lot of time doing all this research. Only thing we're trying to teach you is to learn how to listen to the market. What was the market telling you? The market was saying it wanted to go lower. So that's all you had to do. Look for ways in which to get in at lower prices, okay? All right, so let's go on to the next example here so you kind of understand the format. As we can see, BETA coming into the last week of August, same principle applies. We have the green arrow, so we would have purchased roughly around here, around 30.5, placed our stop down here. And as you can see, we just moved our stop all the way up. You would have still been in this until you got stopped out. The same process. That's how simple this is. How about Snap? Okay, we all know the terrible stories about this. This was supposed to be the darling of the new IPOs when it came out last year. It was just, just terrible. It went up a little bit, and now it's lower than the initial IPO price. All these people are saying, what are the reasons behind all this? What's wrong with the company, the management, what the direction they're going? Are we telling our students to get involved and research that and learn what's going on in the company? Absolutely not. Why? Because we knew as far back as May this past year to get out. Why? Because the market told us it's going lower. So you could have gotten out. Had you purchased this when it first came out initially, you most likely would have made a little money at least, or broken even getting out once the market told you it's time to exit. And if you were more aggressive, well, guess what? You could have used this technique I told you and gone short right here. I know there probably wasn't stock to go short, maybe puts, but at least we're showing you the principle of how this works, of how where so many people are looking at something going, boy, this is just a terrible investment. How could I have lost? And now I'm stuck, and now I'm like, I'm locked into this, and there's no way for me to get out. If there's one thing we notice, most traders, whenever they lose, have a victim mentality. It's always like, they did this to me. I have no recourse in this. I listened to all the people, I listened to all the reports, and now I'm stuck and locked into this. That is such a victim mentality. And as a trader, you are never a victim, because once you learn how to listen to the market, you're going to make your own choices. You won't have to rely on your broker. You won't have to rely on what everyone is saying on TV about Snap. You'll be able to have it right here on the chart, and you'll know whether you should be in or out. So there's no one to blame. But traders love to be the victim. They go, oh, they really took advantage of me. No one takes advantage of you. We all start with the same amount of hours in the day. We all have the same information. We can do just as well. The point is, we're never taught the correct information. That's what my job is at Specialist Trading. All right, let's look at Amazon. The first part of this chart, in July, we were going up, and the market was telling you wanted to go higher. Then quickly it reversed, okay? Using this technique, you could have purchased down here, and you would have locked in the trade because you would have exited right here. See how you would have been stopped out. So you would have missed this big sell-off, and then you could have gone short. Now remember, we know this is expensive stock. Not everyone's going to buy and sell a $1,000 stock, but you could purchase puts or an odd lot if you want. And we're just showing you how this concept can apply to a new IPO, an inexpensive stock, a very expensive stock. The same thing will apply. It makes no difference. Now TTC, this is a perfect example of how when the market shifts, you can shift with it. Now this, if I get up my pointer right here, was a great example of how, consistency is what will save you. Now we would have gotten in right here. You move up your stop. If you had had your stop here, I believe you still would have been in. And then ultimately you got stopped out right here. Okay, so you're stopped out of the trade. And you could have gotten short right here. Had your stop here, here, and just continue to move it down. So even if you had a very tight stop right here and had been stopped out, well, that's basically you're breaking even. And you could have gotten back in here and exited here for a nice quick trade. And then you're out and you're waiting for the next signal, which is to the downside. So this one, you would have gone short, you move your stop down, now you're breaking even, now you've got a nice profit. It's easy when, remember, you do our job as a trader. Not to overcomplicate things by getting your information from outside sources, but just learn to listen to the market. So the market told us what it wanted to do. Our job was simply to jump on board. That was it. Let me get another example here as I get out my pointer. And I'll clear these for you. Okay, here's the SJM. All right, so we're looking at this, and now we have a blue background. So I said, well, Steve, why didn't we buy anything? Well, remember, the market tells you what it wants to do. Even though the background was blue, telling you that the overall trend is still higher. Were there any bars that closed in the top 25% here? Absolutely none. So the market was telling us on the short term, don't buy anything because we're not really going higher that much on the short term. In fact, there's kind of a conflict here between the overall and the short term. And as you can see, look what happened. It changed right here. So this was your side to get in. You would have gotten short if you were able to or purchased the puts. And you see how the market told you? It told you in advance it was going lower. First of all, it was giving you clues by not presenting you with any bars in the top 25%. And then once it shifted the overall background, meaning that price was now below the 50, look what happened. Did we research this and know why the stock fell out of bed and dropped 5-10 points? No. The market told us. That's all we needed to know. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to overcomplicate things. Now here's a weekly chart of the spiders. Once again, remember we talked about that? If you had applied this on a weekly time frame, a lot of our traders like to apply options. So you could have done that just as simply by purchasing a long call right here and a long-term call and holding it this entire time. And you most likely would have been stopped out here. So that's a nice little run-up from roughly December into April. And then you could have waited and gotten it back in here again and most likely been stopped out unchanged. Got back in again. I think you probably would have been stopped out again, but then you get back in here again. Okay? So there's ways in which to do this on time frame, different direction, and just, following the market for whatever direction it's going. That makes absolutely no difference. Here's a weekly chart of DKS, okay? This is Dick's Sporting Goods. Now, as you can see, you wouldn't have gotten in until probably about a month later, but right here, and then the bottom fell out. The stock started falling sharply coming into last week of August, okay? Did we know it was going to take this sharp fall? Absolutely not. The only thing we did was listen to the market. The market had a reddish background. Remember, red sky at morning, traders take warning. That means you should not buy anything. The only traders that lost money were the ones trying to pick a bottom in Dick's Sporting Goods. But if you simply listen to the market told you overall it wants to go lower. On the short term, we had a bar in this bottom 25%. Could have gotten short here and just continued to lower your stop. And here's an hourly chart of the E-mini. I know a lot of you trade futures. All right, so let's go to an hourly chart of the E-mini futures. This was in the second week of August. And this is what we mean by consistency. Remember we said not everything will work out 100% of the time. Had you taken this trade right here to go short, you most likely would have gone short and would have been stopped out right away because you would have switched gears. So that's a loss right there. But that's okay. You have your stop now at this point. You're in. You move your stop up. And you have a nice profit right there, okay? So you made from here to here. You made back the initial loss to maybe a little bit more. Now you could have gotten back in again. Your stop is still back here. As you see the next up arrow, you raise your stop here. So now you're breaking even. You raise your arrow up. And now you've got a profit locked in and even higher. You can just exit whenever you'd like for a profit, or you can write it as high as you want. It makes no difference because we've switched time frames and we've switched markets altogether. The only thing that makes the difference is that we're listening to the market. Now that's an hourly trade of the futures. Let's look at a daily bars of the Canadian dollar. We know that we have currency pair traders here. Way up here in advance, the buy-sell line was colored red. So it's telling us we're going lower. So there's no reason to buy the Canadian dollar. I don't care what economic news is coming out. I don't care what's going on globally. Don't buy the Canadian dollar. We don't care about those things. We only listen to the market. The market's telling us it wants to go lower. Now that we have coupled with these down arrows, which mean that, it's not a master system that we can't divulge. It's just a bar that closes in the bottom 25%. This is the bar that tells you everything you need to know. It's telling you the short term wants to go lower as well. So we sell and we move our stop down. We got stopped out with a nice little profit, but a very small one. Then we get back in. And then here's where we write it all the way down. Okay, so let's recap. I know many of you may have questions and want to see how you can apply this. Let's recap. Remember, if there's one thing you get out of this presentation today, even if you say, well, this guy Steve is, I don't know about these things. I have to research this over the weekend because it doesn't seem like it could be very valid. Remember, this is the only thing I'm trying to get across to you. This is what changed my way of thinking, and this is what has sustained me for 40 years now. The market is always telling you what it wants to do, okay? The source of what we're trading, the very thing you're staring at 8 hours a day, is telling you. But for some reason, we want to get our information from something or someone else. We have tons of indicators. We're listening to the institutions. We're looking at some convoluted support resistance logic and volume. We're listening to a guy on TV at the same time tell us what he thinks. That's not the market. Those are all opinions and all just convoluted tools. But the market is telling you what it wants to do. So why not just listen to the market? After all, that's what we're putting our hard-earned money into, right? That's what we're betting on. So our job is simple. It's only twofold. Listen to what the market tells you and then jump on board. Don't try to predict it. Don't say how high it will go, how low it will go. Simply jump on board. Trading is simple and easy when you're in tune or in sync with what the market wants to do. The only reason trading is difficult and you're having sleepless nights is because you're doing the opposite of what the market wants to do. Think of it. When you're losing, it's because you bought something and it keeps going lower. Well, the market is telling you it wants to go lower, but you're fighting it. And when you're losing the other way, you're sold and it keeps going higher and higher. But when you have a great restful night, and when you're happy and you can go celebrate, it's because you bought and the market continues to go higher, meaning that you're just on the right side. You're doing what the market wants to do. So that's what we're trying to instill in you. And all this can be done right in front of you. Remember, you want to combine the top bottom 25%. Those are bars that either close in the top or bottom 25% of the range with the buy sell line. And the buy sell line, once again, is just the 50 period moving average. We're not trying to have some secret from you here today and make it difficult for it. It's just a 50 period simple moving average. If price is above, you would get that automatic blue screen. If price is below, you get that automatic red screen. Okay? So, as we go to question and answer, I want to ask you a question and ask yourself honestly now, do you think this edge could have helped your trading this past year? I can almost guarantee that it would. In fact, once you do the research, once we've concluded, I think you'll say to yourself, boy, if I had known this, I would have made so much more money, or at least I wouldn't have lost as much money this past 9 months coming into the 10th month. So here's our special discount we have for all of you attending today. We want to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday. We're going to offer you something we're extremely proud of, something that you saw all the charts being generated on today. That's our new platform, the PTS Primo charting platform. And basically, its only goal is to teach traders how to trade. Remember, our goal is not to force feed you signals. Our goal is not to say, we have some master system that all you have to do is buy when it says buy and sell when it says sell. That, to me, is a recipe for disaster. What sustains you, what will have you trading 10, 20, 30 years down the road is sound fundamental education, so that you can make your own trading decisions. And guess what? It's all presented here in the new PTS charting platform. We're going to offer you a 30-day trial, 30 days for only $7. Okay, so you're going to be able to use all this, everything I just shared with you, and more for only $7. And then after a month, you can decide whether you want to continue, or for a small nominal fee, you can stay on and have it and continue to reap the rewards that we really feel confident about. Let me show you what's included, because we're not just showing you what you have today and that's going to be it. We're throwing in a lot more, because we're jam-packed with all the information that's taken me 40 years to accumulate. So we're also going to share with you our enhanced buy-sell line. That's what you saw today, the background screen. Now, we just showed you one feature. We have a total of 4 different features, ways in which to apply the buy-sell line. You're going to get all of those different features, okay? We're also going to share with you another trading strategy. This is strategy 3A. This is a strategy that has all the complete rules for entry, complete rules for exit, complete rules for stop placement, complete rules for money management. It's all there. So that's included in the new PTS charting platform. You're going to get the buy and sell arrows automatically when you click on strategy 3A. Here's a couple of examples of recent sell orders. Now, these were 2 in Snapchat, as you can see, and here was a buy setup in EL. This is using strategy 3, which you get for free. Now remember, we have different ways to view the buy-sell line. Here is our color ribbon feature, where we don't change the screen so you can apply any screen color the way you'd like. If you're used to looking at a particular color, that's fine. Then we would have the buy sell line color band ribbon on the bottom. Okay. Here's a 5-minute chart. Many of these are all valid strategy number 5 sell signals. I'm sorry, strategy 3A. We're also going to provide you with a signal scanner. So let's just say you're not able to be in front of the charts all day long, and you say, boy, I want to know what stocks in the portfolio I watch close in the top 25%. Maybe you track about 25 or 30 stocks. Did any of them close? You don't want to have to look through each and every chart. Well, we'll provide you with lists of, let's say, the top ETFs, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100. You can make up your own portfolio list. How simple scanning is with the PTS Primo charts is this. All you have to do is go to the scanner page right here, click on load symbols of whatever symbols you're interested in viewing, and in about 10 to 20 seconds, all the symbols will appear, okay? Regardless of what market you're looking at. You choose what you want to see. Once they appear, you'll click on scan. And once you hit scan, you're going to see on the far right either some green bars or some red bars that you see right here. A green bar simply means that it corresponds to that stock, means that it's a buy setup, or that you would see an up green arrow. A red bar means that you'll see a down red arrow. So you know what it is automatically the next day if you're going to be buying or selling. As you can see right here, it would have all those setups for you, depending on the strategy or whatever you're looking at. But we're not stopping there. We're also going to be throwing in steps 1 and 2 entry techniques. These are proprietary entry techniques that we develop for a number of traders. We have students all around the world in virtually every state in the United States. Many of them say, Steve, you know what? I love the strategy that I devised or something I purchased a long time ago. It's just that the entry is not that good. Sometimes it gets me in too early and I sit around for days or weeks and then I get stopped out, and then it goes perfectly in the direction I wanted it to go after I'm out. Or else I get in too late. The big move is already passed, and then by that time it gets me in. Well, steps 1 and 2 are proprietary techniques designed to fine-tune your entry, get you in at these opportune moments in time, so that all you have to do is click on in the tab above steps 1 or steps 2, and it will show you these places in which to enter. So it really is a great opportunity to fine-tune your entries and increase your odds for consistency. That's included with this in this 30-day trial. Now we come with over 90 of the basic technical indicators. So if you like to tinker under the hood, if you'd like to experiment more with other indicators, we have them all there as well. I know some of you may be saying, well, Steve, I see your bias that it's more technical, but you know what? I do like to listen to news. I don't put that much stress on it, but I still like to know what's going on. You're telling me I should never listen to that? No, listen, it's not required at PTS Primo charting platform, but guess what? We've offered Bloomberg TV for it. So we have a separate media page. If you'd like to have live Bloomberg TV, you click on the media page and you'll see what's going on live fundamentally and economically, okay? This is all included as well. You can see everything happening on a separate page of the platform. And then lastly, in your 30-day trial comes with personalized tech support. If you ever have an issue, if you can't load up the media page or you don't understand how to apply a strategy or a technique, contact our tech support. Most of the issues are resolved in a matter of moments. We have nothing but high praise and testimonials talking about our tech support. So it's all here, one click away, the new PTS Primo chart. You can try it out for yourself for 30 days. No obligation, just $7. It's the trading and educational portal we know you've been searching for, okay? You'll have it ASAP as soon as you sign up today. Here's how to take advantage of this great offer. It's a 30-day trial, $7, and all you have to do is contact Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site. You can email them, you can call them directly, but you see the very link we have here at the bottom, that's the link that takes you to the entry, but that's not a live link, so all you have to do is go to the chat box on the far right of your GoToWebinar column there. They should have a link posted. You click that on, it will automatically take you to the $7 trial sign-up page. It's that simple, okay? So I'm going to leave all this information up here for you. Remember, $7, we can't think of a better way to get acquainted with you and just to introduce our new platform that's taken us a fairly good of time to put together for you. It's 40 years of information, all right there, one click away. Okay, I'll leave this up here. I want to say, firstly, thank you for waiting off on questions, and let me open up the question and answer box. Yeah, some people are saying they're having difficulty with the sound. Other people are saying it works fine. Let's see, Pip is asking, question on your charts. Can I add indicators other than your buttons on the top? Sure, Pip. Maybe I think you asked this before we got to it, but it comes with 90 other indicators. So yes, that's why we want to give people the freedom to add things if you want. You know, if you like to tinker under the hood, you like to look at other stuff that we don't require, but you feel it's a must, then yes, go ahead. Let's see. Question on the charts. Does strategy 3A apply to the Forex? Yes, you can apply any of our strategies. It doesn't matter to any market, any time frame, any direction. We have people using strategy 3A on commodities. We have it. In fact, this is not, written in stone, but it's my personal opinion. I think strategy 3A actually works better in the currency pairs because strategy 3A is a continuation. It's a trend continuation strategy. And we all know that the best trends are in the currency pairs because they have the most bang for their buck, because they have the most money behind them. So there's more cash flowing in and out of the currency pairs than any other markets combined. So that will sometimes enable the markets to have some of these very nice sustained trends. If you have that, strategy 3A is perfect. It's a trend following strategy, okay? So yes, it works on any market, any time frame. It makes no difference. Can you use open, high, low, close candles? Sure. We have candlestick bars. We also have regular open, high, low, close bars. It makes no difference, whatever you want to use. Does a scanner work with Forex? Yes, it does. It works with any strategy or anything we have. All you have to do is plug in the markets that you're looking at, okay? Aline asks, how much does it cost after the day trial? Remember, the 30-day trial is $7. There's no obligation after that. If you want to continue with it, it's going to be a small $97 a month, okay? But try us out. Take us out for a test ride for $7. Trust me, $7. If you went out to have fast food lunch today for two, you couldn't get it less for $15. Really, you couldn't. You can have this, all this information that it's taken me 4 decades to accumulate. You can have it for a full month for $7, less than going out to lunch, sometimes less than some coffee you may get at a coffee store. So it's a very great opportunity, and it shows in good faith that, our sincerity, that we really want to get to know you and we want to teach you as well. So how do I get the data that's not included with this chart? Well, any data that's not included or anything, contact Pro Trader Strategies, because they're more of the tech support side. I involve mainly in teaching and showing you how to use the strategies and how to apply the strategies to your trading and the techniques. Anything, once again, with tech support, contact Pro Trader Strategies. There's no obligation. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. You can call them up with no obligation, and then if you're decided you want to sign on, they can do it over the phone even quicker for you and sign you up. But it's up to you. They have all the technical resources there for data and things like that. Someone asked, they listened to another strategy I had, which included a Donchian challenge. Do you get access to that? Once again, you'd have to contact Pro Trader Strategies. I don't know if they're including all of that, because we've given you the world right now. So I don't know. Maybe you can ask to substitute, but I would, if you like to trade currency pairs, boy, 3A is a great strategy for trading currency pairs, okay? Let's see. You're more than welcome. Yes, it comes. Mark is asking about you download. You have to sign in. It's your it's computer based. You sign in. It's your own password and your name, and that's good for 30 days. Okay, and then should you decide to continue and stay on, they just open it up for you for whatever you decided to do with your next option. Okay. Thank you, Pip. Okay, thanks. Oh, you've already talked to Joe. Great. Yeah, Joe is a great trading consultant. He can help you out tremendously. Also asking about having the charts on 2 computers backup. You know what? That's, once again, a tech support question. I would contact them. I just have it on one myself, but that's a good question if one of your computers crashes. But there shouldn't be a problem. We try to make things simple for you. We don't want to overcomplicate or put all these restrictions on your trading so that no, this doesn't work. We really want to have you learn. So that's what our whole motivation is. So contact anything technical, anything about data, anything about computer usage or signing on or passwords. contact Pro Trader Strategies, and you can call them directly or email them. There's no obligation. They're not going to, say, okay, you signed on, that's too late. They'll give you the freedom to decide for yourself. But for $7, I think you owe it to yourself for $7, okay? I can almost venture to say that most of you spent $7 yesterday in commission costs alone. So Pip is saying, so far the guys are great. Charts are wonderful and simple, and love your approach to simplicity. Thank you very much, Pip. Yeah, well, that's our whole credo. We're trying to make things simple for it because, if that's our whole philosophy, that trading should be simple, how could we put together a philosophy of trading, but then give you the most complicated charting platform? I mean, it wouldn't make sense, right? But I know there are charting platforms out there. This is one of the main reasons why I developed this with Pro Trader Strategies, because myself, I've used tons of charting platforms, and I'll be honest with you, some of them are so complicated, I don't even know how to use them, and I've been trading for decades. So I said, you know what, let's develop something that someone who's been trading for a week would be able to apply. And that's what we've done. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. Just the axioms we use. Blue sky at night, trader's delight. Red sky at morning, trader take warning. We're not using these things like, if the earnings ratio is not divisible by the PE ratio. Do you see how complicated that is? We try to make it so that you can understand it like a children's rhyme, a nursery rhyme, because that's all trading is. Trading is simple. The only reason it's complicated is because we make it complicated, but it doesn't have to be, okay? It is the easiest thing in the world to overcomplicate your trading. It is the simplest thing in the world to simplify it. So that's what we've done with the new PTS charting platform, okay? So all I can say is give us a chance, $7. I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised. And one thing I didn't mention, which I failed to say but for the next 30 days, you're also going to have me as your personal mentor. So you'll have my email address. Anytime you want to contact me personally, you can contact me and I'll answer your question as soon as possible. So if you're using the platform, you say, Steve, I don't understand, once again, where to enter with 3A. I can, as soon as I'm free, I will answer your questions. So you have someone with 40 years experience explaining to you personally. This comes with it as well. So I can't think of a better way to get back on board and to make your trading simple. Remember, we're getting towards the end of the year. Most traders start at the beginning of the year with all these hopes and dreams, and they never reach them by the end of the year. In fact, by mid-year, most of them know that they're never going to reach them. Here we are in the final stretch. We're on the final 50 yards of the race. Okay? Try to finish out the year strong. One way we think you can do it is by becoming a member of the new PTS charting platform. You'll really get your trading back on track, and you'll be able to feel confident about the decisions you're making, okay? Remember, any questions concerning brokerage, concerning tech support, concerning data, contact Pro Trader Strategies. There is absolutely no obligation. They'll answer any question you have. For $7, you owe it to yourself to become a member of our platform, okay? In conclusion, I hope you got something out of this. Do the research yourself. Go back and research what I taught you today, but don't sit on this because this $7 offer may not be lasting for a long time, okay? So it may go up to the full price, which I believe is $97 per month. Take advantage of the special trial offer, and I'd love for you to be a student of mine at the new PTS charting platform. Thank you so much. I wish you a great Saturday afternoon, and thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.